Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Time flies by in the cave, coupled with the fact that the extreme day is always daytime. It is easy to lose the concept of time. A few days passed in a flash. During these days of Su Lin's recuperation, he has fully recovered from his injuries thanks to his powerful healing talent, and his physical strength has also reached its peak. Through fighting that large wolf pack this time, he also gained some experience in fighting with outnumbered enemies. If we encounter this kind of battle again in the future, it will be easier to deal with it. In addition, during these 3 days, Su Lin also went out to inspect the territory. Under the extreme daylight, it stands to reason that the North Pole should be full of vitality. It's just that some time ago, under the cold current of a natural disaster like blizzard, at least half of the species were frozen to death. As a result, there are only a few scattered large herbivores that come out to eat. Currently, in the territory he ruled, apart from a few large herbivorous races, there were only 2 grizzly bears and 3 polar bears on the ice. There are also some scattered lynxes. In addition, the few lone wolves remaining in this area have also surrendered to the wolves in the past few days. At present, Little Lone Wolf has 18 wolf clans under his command, and he has also recruited a wolf clan that is at the peak of level 6. This kind of strength is enough to be a wolf in other wolf packs, which makes Su Lin pay more attention to this wolf pack. It turns out that this peak level 6 wolf was indeed the head wolf of a small wolf pack. It's just that he was defeated by the large wolf pack in the west and was forced to wander here. As this area was also unified, it tried to poach some food in the bear territory, but failed. I was almost torn apart by a bear clan, therefore, for the rest of his life after the catastrophe, he came to the wolves to seek refuge. But this wolf tribe is quite strong, just joined the wolves, and helped the wolves drive out some lynxes who wanted to poach. But among wolves, we still have to start with the wolves. In the future, with the acquisition of credit, you will be promoted slowly. At the same time, in the past few days, Su Lin has also formulated some reward and punishment rules for the wolves. These rules can also increase the fighting enthusiasm of the wolves under the wolves. Rule 1. When hunting large herbivorous races, those who perform outstandingly can be rewarded with some meat. Article 2. When competing for the hunting territory, if the other party loses its staff, it can reward 3 to 10 caddies of different species of flesh and blood, depending on the situation. For ordinary wolves, a few caddies of foreign flesh and blood is not a lot. In addition, there is punishment. If faced with hunters who flee without a fight, at least food will not be distributed for a month, and at worst, the wolves will be driven out. For wolves, food is everything in their eyes. Therefore, it is best to use food as the standard for rewards and punishments. As for the promotion within the wolf pack, if you get rewards more than 5 times, you can be promoted from high wolf to e-wolf. If you get rewards more than 10 times, you can be promoted to be a wolf. Those who have made great contributions can be promoted exceptionally. Surin is also preparing to expand the wolf pack into a large wolf pack, so some alpha wolves will inevitably be promoted in the future. With these rules, it can also make ordinary wolves have some hope. Of course, the meaning that Su Lin conveyed to these wolves was simplified. After all, ordinary wolves can't understand too complicated meanings. Afterwards, Su Lin asked the little lone wolf to lead the pack of wolves, and took the lead in going to the territory of the large pack of wolves to the west. Look at that large pack of wolves, and see if there are any remnants of the wolves holding their ground. And by the way, check out the noteworthy hunters over there. The territory of that large wolf pack was about 3,000 square kilometers. It is not a small area, and letting the little lone wolf take the lead to fight the front is also to exercise the fighting ability of the wolves. Ah! 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 After receiving the order, the little lone wolf howled, and led the pack to the west. There are many wolves, and the wolves follow closely behind, which is also quite powerful. The current little lone wolf is also very strong among the 6th level heterogeneous species, and with the help of nearly 20 wolves under his command, among common species, there are almost no rivals left. Next, Su Lin, who returned to the cave, checked his rewards from the previous days. 2 fortified serums, 3 recovery potions, and 30 evolution potions. These are what he needs very much right now. Especially, the strengthening serum is a necessity for him to improve his strength. In addition, there is a talent serum and a defective talent serum. Relatively speaking, the talent serum of defective products only has a higher failure rate, reaching an astonishing 70% failure rate. Surin looked at these rewards, and finally used the talent serum first. After strengthening the hunting talent last time, the increase in his combat power is extremely terrifying. A 100% increase in attack power and speed, compared to the talents of other alien species, is absolutely crushing. Even if it is a talent like Dire Wolf that gets stronger with injury, it can't compare with the hunting talent of the same level. Improving strength, by relying on injuries, is not the same as directly doubling one's strength. I hope to strengthen the hunt again, Su Lin said in his heart. If the hunt is strengthened again, it is hard to imagine how much the combat power will increase. In this way of thinking, Su Lin took out the talent serum. Ding! Is the talent serum used? Use. Su Lin didn't hesitate at all. Talent serum is different from strengthening serum, there is no slight discomfort after using it. On the contrary, it is the warm current that makes people very comfortable, and this warm current surges through his entire pack of wolves. Limbs and bones, bones and tendons. It didn't take long for this warm current to be completely absorbed. Ding! The healing talent has been strengthened successfully, and it has been promoted to a level talent. This pale gray message appeared in front of my eyes. Healing talent? Su Lin didn't feel much regret. After all, in these few battles, the healing talent also played an important role. The fast recovery and blood coagulation effects of the healing talent are also very effective in battle. And the B-level healing talent has 100 times the recovery speed. What amazing level will the A-level achieve? Immediately afterwards, within a few seconds, the introduction of the A-level healing talent appeared before his eyes. Healing, level A, can be upgraded, passive talent. The speed of wound healing increased by 500 times, immunity to toxins, immunity to fungal infection, and also effective on mental and radiation trauma. Note, stamina can be consumed to speed up recovery. Duration, permanent. Cooldown, none. A level healing talent, the speed of healing has increased to 500 times. 500 times. Seeing this recovery speed, Su Lin couldn't help being a little shocked. Such a recovery speed can be called terrifying. Ordinary minor injuries may heal during the battle. Especially in the notes, there is more energy consumption to speed up recovery. Already 500 times, how far will it go if it is accelerated again? I'm afraid it will reach a recovery speed visible to the naked eye. Such an increase in talent also means that his future survivability will increase to an extremely terrifying level. With such a terrifying recovery ability, almost no species in the Arctic will pose a threat to him in the future. At this time, Su Lin, with all his might, took out the remaining talent serum. Ding! Is the defective talent serum used? Use. Su Lin didn't hesitate at all. It's good to strengthen that talent this time, I just hope it doesn't fail. After all, the 70% failure rate of defective talent serum is really scary. And when Su Lin was still strengthening his talents in the cave, the major forces in the world have already discussed and decided to dispatch the most elite troops under their command. Get ready to start hunting the giant beasts, different trees, and strange flowers that appear in the human field of vision. Because after research, many scientists have come to a unanimous decision. With the evolution of strength and size, these species that have unlocked the shackles of genes, even their wisdom is rapidly rising. Many species already have intelligence not inferior to humans. This is the reason why all the major forces have decided to do it one after another. Wisdom is the most essential difference between human beings and other species. If human beings cannot even maintain the advantage of wisdom, so what will crush these species that have unlocked the genetic shackles in the future? Especially these species are still getting stronger at an extremely alarming speed. The power holders of the major forces are completely panicked, and they don't want to sit back and watch these species continue to grow stronger. I want to rely on the existing technological advantages to wipe out all these species. The most radical #1 person in the Sakura Kingdom publicly stated in the Alliance video conference, "There is a saying in the ancient East, I think it is very good, if you are not of my race, your heart must be different." The major forces must join hands. Not only to survive this rare ice age, but also to maintain the supremacy of our human dominance. Once the statement was made, many people seconded it. After comprehensive consideration, the strongest armed forces of all major forces have come on the scene, ready to start encircling and suppressing all species that have unlocked the genetic shackles. The bloodthirsty pythons in India, the invincible lions in Africa, the giant human skin trees in the tropical rainforest, the patterned tigers in Siberia, the unknown sea monsters in the deep sea, etc., have all become the key hunting targets of the major forces. Besides, a search team was also sent to go deep into the areas where the signals of the major satellites have disappeared, to explore the mysterious species in these areas. Surin's level 11 attributes are definitely superior to other species of the same level. Ding! Do you want to use the enhanced serum? Use. Su Lin didn't hesitate at all. Soon the familiar scalding energy in the body wandered through the limbs and bones of the wolves again. However, this wandering has been going on for a long time, and there has been no movement. Just when Su Lin was a little confused, he suddenly found that this hot energy poured into the meridians of the wolf's limbs and bones. Huh? Meridians? There is no doubt that meridians are very important parts of the body of any species. Strengthening the meridians this time should result in a considerable increase in combat power. But after the scalding energy poured into the meridians of the limbs and bones, the pain it brought was far greater than the last time the spine was strengthened. After all, meridians are extremely sensitive and spread all over the body. Under this pain, Su Lin endured silently. This hot energy scorched all the meridians, and also made these meridians undergo subtle changes. During the roasting, the meridians all over the body faintly emitted a glint of light. Even the meridians that originally connected to the wolf's claws, heart, and spine were shrouded in this shining light. The strengthening time this time is much longer than before. It is already comparable to the time when the heart was strengthened last time. Even after more than an hour, this scorching energy is still scorching in the meridians of the limbs and bones. In the pain of strengthening the meridians, Su Lin endured for about 3 hours. This scorching energy was gradually absorbed, and the faint fluorescent light covering the whole body also slowly retracted into the meridians. After being strengthened, the meridians become tougher than before, the speed of qi and blood circulation becomes smoother, and the breathing becomes longer. This caused a gleam of light to flash in Su Lin's golden-brown wolf eyes. He can feel the improvement brought about by this strengthening. It should far exceed the improvement brought about by strengthening the spine last time. Especially for the improvement of qi and blood, it is obvious. The qi and blood flowing in the huge wolf's body became more vigorous. Call. Feeling the vigorous blood, Su Lin let out a long breath. Immediately afterwards, the latest property panel appeared. Name, Su Lin. Species, Arctic wolf. Gene level, I level, level 11. Upgrading requires 20,000 evolution points. Vitality, 2900. Stamina, 230. Strength, 260. Defense, 240. Speed, 360. Evolution value, 15567. Talent, hunting, sea level healing, a level. Seeing the detailed latest attributes in front of him, Su Lin was even more delighted. The improvement brought about by strengthening the meridians, this time, far exceeded his imagination. Except that the defense value has not been improved, the rest of the attributes have been significantly enhanced. Among them, the blood value is the most obvious increase, which directly increased by 800 points. This means that Surin's current blood value has far exceeded that of the polar bear, who is the overlord of the Arctic. with such a huge blood value, the combination value can be called tenacious vitality, healing talent, and a strengthened heart. Makes Surin almost impossible to take fatal damage. In addition to blood value, Su Lin's speed, endurance, and strength have also been greatly enhanced. The base strength value has been increased to 260, which means that using the strengthened right claw, the strength value will directly approach 400 points. This is a terrifying power value. With one paw, even if the hunting talent is not turned on, the strength is nearly 10,000 catties, and no ordinary species can resist it. Coupled with the sharp wolf claws, invincibility is definitely not just talk. The speed soared to 360 points, and the full speed also reached a speed of more than 120 meters per second. Such an improvement made Su Lin very satisfied. He looked at the remaining enhanced serum and took it out again. Su Lin's tolerance for pain is already very strong. This made him decide to go all out and use the second enhanced serum as well. Ding! Do you want to use the enhanced serum? Use. With the hot energy of the enhanced serum appearing again, Su Lin only felt that the pain this time was much stronger than the first time, but still within the acceptable range. This made him grit his teeth and endure. This time, the hot energy flows very quickly, not as slow as strengthening the meridians. After a while, it rushed towards Su Lin's lungs. Extreme pain suddenly came from the lungs, which made it difficult for Su Lin to breathe for a while. The feeling of suffocation made him feel a little dark in front of his eyes. But I can feel that the lungs that have undergone genetic recombination at the bottom of the iceberg gap have once again begun to break through the genetic shackles, and new changes are taking place. After strengthening the lungs, I hope that in the future, I will be able to swim not only on land, but also in water. Especially in the ocean, there are countless species that have never eaten, which is very attractive to Surin. Thinking of the massive evolutionary value in the ocean, even the pain from Su Lin's lungs felt much weaker. In the subtle strengthening of the lungs, time also slowly passed. The strengthening time this time was obviously faster, and it took only about an hour to complete the strengthening of the lungs. Su Lin also let go of his tightly clenched wolf teeth. Now he only feels that his breathing has become longer, and his lungs have strong vitality. Immediately after, the new property page popped up again. It's just that the bonus brought by strengthening the lungs this time only added 30 points of stamina, which was far from the bonus of strengthening the meridians. But the biggest effect of strengthening the lungs is its powerful breathing ability. This allows Surin to breathe underwater, like a polar bear. Hunting and killing various marine species in the future will no longer be a dream. At this time, Su Lin stood up, and the huge wolf body came to the cave entrance. Looking at the snow-capped Arctic ice field, I felt my strength increase again. He couldn't help but let out a long roar to vent his joy. Ah! The loud and long howling of wolves echoed over the cold North Pole. And Xiao Hui and the polar bear cub were awakened from their sleep by Su Lin's wolf howl. They were all farts, and they ran and followed Su Lin. Through these days of contact, the polar bear cubs no longer feel unfamiliar with the wolves at the beginning. I have become familiar with all members of the wolf pack and have integrated into the wolf pack. Coupled with the strong learning ability of the alien species, the polar bear cubs can roughly understand what the wolves are doing and what they mean through careful observation. During this period of time, I followed the model and learned. Although the movements are very naive, but for the wolves, there is a little more joy, and some simple communication can also be carried out through movements. Xiaobai's growth rate is also very fast, and he has reached the middle stage of level 3 heterogeneity in a short period of time. This growth rate is terrifying. But it only takes 2 or 3 years for ordinary polar bears to grow into adults. The growth rate of the different species of polar bear is faster, not to mention that these days, Xiaobai has also eaten more than 10 catties of different species of flesh and blood. Therefore, it is reasonable to have this growth rate. Maybe in a few more months, he will be able to stand alone among the wolves. Now in the cave, Wolf Sister, Grey Little Wolf and Little White also fight from time to time. In the beginning, Wolf Girl's combat power was still the strongest among the three. After all, He had taken a potion of potential when he was a cub, so it was better for the development of his body's potential. It's just that Xiaobai can't be restrained recently. Xiaobai's powerful combat power as a different species of polar bear has begun to show its edge. Su Lin looked at Xiao Hui and Xiaobai who surrounded him and led them out of the cave. Now his combat power has surpassed this area. Looking at the area of 300 or 400 miles, except for the alien grizzly who didn't know where to go, there was no hunter who could survive a few tricks. Even the polar bear, known as the overlord of the Arctic, can hardly survive several rounds under the claws of Surin's wolf. With the attack power of the right paw approaching 400, once it hits the vital point, it can easily drain the polar bear's huge vitality. This does not mean that the polar bear's combat power has weakened. It's just that after the world changed, the natural world no longer belonged to ordinary species. This is a world of aliens. As for ordinary species, even the once tyrannical and invincible polar bear will eventually become a passing cloud in the Great Era. After walking out of the cave, Su Lin brought Xiaohui and Xiaobai to the ice layer. He just strengthened his lungs, so he naturally planned to come to the ice to catch some prey. Puff, puff. Su Lin's thick wolf claws stepped on the ice and snow, making a slight sound. With his current body size of 4 meters, he has already given up hunting skills such as crawling and hiding. Because of such a large size, these low shrubs and shrubs in the Arctic cannot hide at all. Su Lin is so grandiose, leading Xiaohui and Xiaobai to appear on the ice layer. He intends to hunt some seals first, and has been envious of the plump meat of seals for a long time. However, seals have high IQs and are also very sensitive to dangerous smells. They have been moving at the mouth of the ice, and they will jump into the sea if something goes wrong, which makes them difficult to catch. However, Su Lin, who has strengthened his lungs today, will have no problem at all even if he exclusively feeds on seals like a polar bear in the future. Without the protection of seawater, seals are just meat on a eucalyptus board to him. As soon as it appeared, a tyrannical aura enveloped the ice layer. This caused many species on the ice to look around in panic. Soon Surin's huge size came into their sight. Arctic wolf. Such a big Arctic wolf. Many species were frightened and jumped into the sea, including a large group of walruses. Walruses are also huge in size, but they move slowly and lack means of attack. It is still weak to deal with polar bears, let alone deal with such a large Arctic wolf. Even many species are thinking in their minds, is this really an Arctic wolf? How can there be such a big Arctic wolf? How could the Arctic wolf have such a tyrannical and dangerous aura? There were also cries of panic as the species hurriedly dived into the water. Especially the cry of the seal is the sharpest and piercing. The calls of other Arctic ducks, sea lions, and walruses are relatively low. At any given time in the Arctic, the ice is far more alive than elsewhere. As soon as Su Lin arrived, the entire ice layer became a messy scene. It can be seen that even the violent snowstorm some time ago did not have much impact on these amphibian creatures. Ah! Roar! Seeing this messy scene, Xiao Hui and Xiaobai howled to cheer for their boss. Especially the howling of Xiaobai's polar bear made the seals and walruses panic even more. After all, the hunting of them by polar bears has made their fear of polar bears engraved in their genetic fragments. And in this panic, Su Lin's golden brown eyes quickly glanced at the mouth of another ice layer, and there were several seals standing up straight and looking at him curiously. Seeing the appearance of these seals, he thought of the first time he came to fish in the ice. The batch of seals back then also had such a novel look. The batch of seals that hadn't jumped into the sea were very courageous, and they didn't look panicked at all. This made Su Lin couldn't help grinding his teeth. Curious? Since you're so brave, let's take you for a ride. He looked at this group of seals with a dangerous look in his eyes. Curiosity sometimes pays a price. Ah! Accompanied by a loud and rough wolf howl, Su Lin's speed was fully activated in an instant. Jumping and starting, the thick wolf claws slammed hard, stepping on the hard ice layer to create a half-inch deep ice pit. The speed of more than 100 meters per second, this speed has long been beyond the speed that ordinary species can react. Even though the distance between Su Lin and this group of bold seals is about 300 meters. But running at full speed, it only took 2 to 3 seconds, like a white lightning, before all the seals had time to react. They arrived in front of them in an instant. Only at this time did this group of courageous seals feel the strong breath of death rushing towards them. Pairs of small eyes showed a look of panic before they could scream or jump into the water. As a gust of wind came, Su Lin's tall and majestic figure appeared in front of them. He ran directly to one of the strongest seals. This seal had a level 9 attribute and weighed at least 2 to 300 caddies. Su Lin's appetite is terrible now. To eat the flesh and blood of ordinary species, he would have to eat at least 100 caddies to feel full. So I rushed directly to the strongest and fattest seal. "It's you." Su Lin's sharp wolf claws popped out completely under the cold eyes, and the wolf claws shone faintly in the sunlight. In addition, the Human Science Alliance has also released authoritative information. These giant beasts, exotic flowers, and exotic trees all contain a new type of pure energy. This energy subverts the known energy system on the Earth, and can be absorbed by human beings, possessing many miraculous effects. Once this news was released, the power holders of the major forces were all sharpening their knives. The peak armed forces began to swarm out from the human fortress. Even the silent submarine in the deep sea moved slowly, searching for the so-called sea monsters in the deep sea. However, the extreme weather during the Ice Age has made satellite means in many places invalid. This has brought great difficulty to the search for these gene-unlocked species. Especially the deep sea, the Antarctic, the Arctic, tropical rainforests, etc., these places have extreme weather and complex terrain. But these did not hold back humans. On the contrary, there are many elite troops, and they all ask for orders to be the pioneers to investigate. At this time in the cold Arctic cave. Ding. Unfortunately, the enhancement of the defective talent serum failed. Su Lin looked at the pale gray message that popped up in front of him, feeling a little regretful. Sure enough, it still failed. But it's also expected. After all, the defective talent serum has a failure rate as high as 70%. Next, Su Lin took out the enhanced serum. Now that the talent serum is used up, it's time to experience the burning pain brought about by the enhanced serum. In fact, for Su Lin now, the pain caused by the enhanced serum can already be endured. Unless it is to strengthen the brain, such a terrible place. What part will be strengthened this time? Now that there are 2 more enhanced serums, more and more parts of the entire wolf body have been enhanced, and the bonuses brought about are also unprecedentedly powerful. These 3 seals together weighed 700 or 800 caddies, which was as heavy as a female musk ox. As Surin hunted and killed 3 seals quickly, the rest of the seals had all jumped into the water, looking at the corpse of their companions. The boldness and novelty in their eyes had long since disappeared. The little eyes are full of panic and fear. This white wolf is too ruthless. Soon they didn't even dare to show their heads in the water, and they fled away immediately. The vicious scene of Surin hunting seals also had a great impact on other species. The amphibian species that were still watching all plunged into the sea with a single spear, and swam away quickly in tension and fear. In their cognition, there has never been such a fierce Arctic wolf. Not only is it ruthless, but its strength is also too tyrannical. The speed and lethality are beyond their acceptable range. Even the polar bears that frightened them in the past are far behind. In tension and fear, the creatures in this ice layer almost all scattered. Even the yuze flying birds, seeing the speed of the white wolf, quickly lifted off, chirping and flying away. After all, the speed of the white wolves is so fast, even after they are targeted, it is difficult to react. Only in the high sky can they be given some sense of security. Today Su Lin looked at the various species scattered in a crowd. His golden brown eyes did not change the expression at all. The milk tiger howls in the valley, and all the beasts are panicked. Under the threat of killing 3 seals in a row, it is normal for these species to flee in a hurry. At this moment, Su Lin looked up at the various birds that were flying into the sky. For these birds, with his current combat power, there is a great probability that he can successfully capture them. After all, since the last genetic evolution, Su Lin not only has the eyesight of a snow owl, but also has the airworthiness of a bird. His current leap height at full speed can reach a height of 10 meters, and he can also glide in the air for tens of meters. This also means that he has short-term combat capabilities in the air. Now that his lungs have been strengthened, Su Lin can go into the sea at will. This means that he has the ability to fight in all directions, by sea, land, and air. This is extremely scary and means that he has almost no shortcomings. At this time, Su Lin just glanced at these birds, and found that they were all very low-level birds. Even if they were captured, they would not have much evolutionary value. So he just looked at the 3 seals that had been killed. The 3 seals are all very fat. Each one weighs more than 200 kilograms. One of them is a level 9 attribute, and the other 2 are level 8 attributes. This made Su Lin shake his head. The seal's level was still too low. If it has a level 10 attribute, it will have an elite part, and it can also provide a lot of evolutionary value. But not too much regret. After all, after strengthening the lungs now, there will be a lot of opportunities to hunt and kill these higher level and powerful species in the sea in the future. The ocean is vast, with countless powerful species. Among them are walruses, beluga whales, octopuses, large fish and more. Once these species reach adulthood, they all exist beyond level 10. It's just that in the ocean, the combat effectiveness of these species is not as weak as on the shore, let alone as clumsy as on the shore. In addition, there is a group of more powerful hunters in the ocean, such as killer whales, with extremely high IQ, the invincible king squid, sperm whales, great white sharks, and so on. So the ocean is also extremely dangerous. In addition, there is strong resistance in the sea water, and his proud speed will be greatly reduced. Therefore, even Su Lin's current combat power must be treated with caution in the sea. At this time, while he was thinking, he also directly disemboweled the seal. Then an evolution potion was used. A lot of evolution medicines have been obtained so far. Su Lin didn't save his use either, but whenever he ate prey for the first time, he would use an evolution potion. After using it, the cold effect of the evolution potion flooded the whole body. He began to eat the seal meat with big mouthfuls. The seal meat had just been hunted, and the blood was still steaming. One sip down, you can still feel the warm body temperature of the seal. After chewing 2 bites, Su Lin's eyes lit up. I found that this seal meat is much more delicious than walrus meat. It was plump, soft and tender, very smooth, and it was very delicious to him when paired with light blood. I heard that the original inhabitants of the Arctic Circle used to hunt seals for food. And if very important guests come, they will serve the seal meat as hospitality. It can be seen that the nutritional value and deliciousness of seal meat. Ding! The host eats the seal and gains 24 evolutionary points. The level of the seal is not low, and the evolution value given is also quite a lot. The evolution value of 24 points has surpassed many large herbivores. Coupled with the small reduction in the evolutionary value of ordinary species, it can also provide at least a few hundred evolutionary points. At the reminder of the evolution value, Surin began to gobble it up. Ding! The host eats seals and gains 23.5 evolutionary points. Ding! The host eats seals and gains 23 evolutionary points. Ding! The host eats the seal and gains 22.5 evolutionary points. While swallowing, Xiaowei and Xiaobai stood aside to help guard. But the plump and tender seal meat also made them salivate, moving their throats up and down. Especially Xiaobai, as a polar bear, he is born to eat seals, so he has an extremely keen sense of smell and can smell the smell of seal meat. However, they are still suppressing the most primitive desire to eat and helping Surin to be vigilant. After all, Su Lin is the king of the wolves and possesses supreme authority. In nature, eating rights and mating rights are the most valued. Any species is taken very seriously. But anyone who dares to touch these 2 rights will not end well unless they possess tyrannical strength. Therefore, Xiaobai also landed on all fours obediently, lying on the ice, trying not to look at the food with his eyes. As for Xiaohui, he has long been used to it, and his boss eats ahead of time. As a different species, Xiaohui's IQ is much higher than that of the same species, and his restraint is naturally much higher. It's just that Xiaohui saw that this time it was the prey hunted and killed by his boss alone, and it felt a little incompetent. When will it be as brave and good at fighting as its own boss? Now Su Lin has promulgated the rules of rewards and punishments among the wolves, which makes Xiaohui very active in wanting to do meritorious deeds. After all, it is the first wolf in the wolf pack, so naturally it also wants to be the first wolf under the command of the boss. But he was still too weak. If he came to hunt these seals by himself, he might only catch air. Just when Xiaohui was thinking in such desperation, Su Lin had swallowed a whole 80 or 90 caddies of seal meat. He currently has nearly a caddy of flesh and blood in one bite, and he eats it very fast. After eating, he started calling Xiaohui and Xiaobai to eat with a low howl. After hearing the sound of the boss calling for food, Xiaohui immediately stopped thinking about it, and ran over in a hurry. For wolves, eating is always the most important thing. Xiaohui and Xiaobai also came to the open body of the seal, held respectfully to Su Lin a few times, and then began to eat big mouthfuls. At this time, Su Lin stretched his waist, and explained to Xiaohui and Xiaobai with a low howl, and dragged the seal carcasses back to the cave after eating. Following Xiaohui and Xiaobai's howls in response, Su Lin also came to the mouth of the huge ice layer, where a group of seals just jumped off. Then he jumped into the sea directly. 3 seals have been captured today, which is a good harvest. But Su Lin went directly into the sea, ready to see the various species in the sea. And as soon as he jumped in, Su Lin felt that the sea water was very warm, much warmer than the cold Arctic temperature. After entering the sea water, the whole body of the wolf did not feel any discomfort. On the contrary, there is a faint feeling that fish are in water, which should be the water suitability of fish genes. Other than that, Su Lin didn't feel the slightest difficulty in breathing. Originally, he thought that the strengthened lungs should also have a limited time in sea water. But after entering the sea, I realized that I still underestimated the effectiveness of the strengthened lungs. The powerful breathing ability is undoubtedly displayed at this moment. No matter how long you stay in the sea, it will be fine. This made him feel very satisfied. This allowed him to explore this vast and boundless ocean deeper. As for the ocean, even at the peak of human science and technology, it has not been fully explored. But as Su Lin's strength grows in the future, he believes that he will eventually uncover the mystery of the ocean and become the top hunter in the ocean. Just when Su Lin's thoughts had just arisen, many groups of shallow sea fish appeared in front of him. Most of these fish are salmon, pike and white fish. Su Lin just dived not deep, and the sea is still very bright. Looking up, you can see ice layers several feet thick. In addition, there is soft sunlight reflected in the sea water through the ice. Floating in the sea like a snake, it looks very beautiful. As Su Lin continued to dive, the light around him gradually dimmed. After all, the penetration of sunlight in seawater is limited. Fortunately, Su Lin's eyesight is very strong, and he also has night vision function. Even in the dark, he can still see clearly. When you have been diving to 500 or 600 meters, you can feel the pressure of the seawater. It's just that this pressure is weak against Su Lin's powerful wolf body. At this depth of sea water, many powerful species have begun to appear. Surin dazzled by the sight of these species. But just when he was grinding his teeth and was about to try to hunt a tuna with a size of 3 meters, a golden shadow suddenly flashed in front of his eyes. Su Lin took a closer look and saw from the dark sea water that the shadow turned out to be a seal. But the skin is pale golden, and the body has reached a terrifying 3 meters. Huh? A seal with this skin color and size? Could it be a different species? Surin looked at the seal without any hesitation. With a thought, he immediately recalled the seal's attributes. Species, harbor seal, xenospecies. Level 10. Vitality, 1635. Stamina, 139. Strength, 87. Defense, 89. Speed, 73. Talent, sonic attack D level. When the numerical attributes appeared in front of his eyes, Su Lin found that this seal was, as expected, a level seal. Except for the stamina value and blood value, the other attributes were not good enough. Worth mentioning. In addition, with a body shape of more than 3 meters, the weight is definitely more than 1,000 catties, which is equal to a free gift of foreign flesh and blood. This made Su Lin suddenly happy. Sure enough, the ocean is still rich in species, and I met a strange species just after I came here. Crash! The sound of running water. Su Lin swiped his wolf paws quickly, and headed towards this pale golden seal. In seawater, even with the water suitability of fish, there is the natural resistance of seawater. Su Lin's speed value has also been cut by more than half, and his current swimming speed in the seawater is only about 40 meters per second. But even so, this speed is extremely fast. It's far from the seal's speed of around 70, which can be compared. Crash! As the sound of running water got closer, the pale golden seal also sensed the danger. It looked back slightly, and when it saw a majestic white wolf with a size of 4 meters swimming towards it, the alien seal felt like a thunderbolt in its mind. Its small eyes are full of inconceivable expressions. Wolves? When will the wolves dive? It can still understand shallow waters. But this is a sea area 500 to 600 meters deep. How did this white wolf get down? But at the moment when the alien seal was stunned, Su Lin had already quickly approached it. A pair of golden-brown wolf eyes were full of coldness, and the sharp wolf claws also popped out quickly, and the claws that were more than 10 centimeters long were like blades. It was at this time that the alien seal felt that the soul was dying, and swam quickly to escape. But obviously, it's too late. Today, Su Lin's full blow is not something an ordinary seal can resist. Especially with a speed bonus of more than 100 meters per second, which makes the power of this claw reach a peak. Pung! The majestic force burst out suddenly, hitting the seal's head directly, smashing the seal's not hard skull in an instant. The sharp wolf claws also directly tore the soft flesh of the seal. Even the cute little eyes of the seal turned into a lake of flesh and blood under the wolf's claws. Bloody blood also gushed out from the seal's body. One-hit kill. This is Surin's terrifying attack power now. At this time, the seal group also reacted, and began to jump towards the mouth of the ice in a panic. Su Lin gave another random claw, and the closest female seal also smashed its skull with one claw. As the blood splashed, the seal's body also collapsed on the ice and snow ground. His combat power is equivalent to slaughter for ordinary species. Even a large pack of wolves with unified command and unified operations can kill dozens of heads in a row. What's more, the seals are disorganized and have no combat awareness. Now that you're here, let's catch more. After all, seal meat is also a very good quality meat for wolves. Su Lin attacked again, and stabbed a seal that hadn't had time to go into the water, and hooked the seal's flesh with its claws. After hooking, no matter how frantically the seal struggles, it cannot escape the claw. Then Su Lin yanked hard, and pulled the seal up from the mouth of the ice. Pung! The fat seal hit the ice layer, causing the thick ice layer to shake slightly. Seals on shore are clumsy. With a cold expression on his face, Su Lin cut the seal's neck completely with his claws again. Blood splattered immediately, and the seal body no longer struggled frantically, fell on the ice and began to convulse. It took less than 30 seconds to kill 3 seals in one go. This hunting speed can be called terrifying. Sonic attack. After this talent appeared, the faint fluorescence emitted quickly suppressed the wound on the seal's body, preventing the wound from spreading blood outward. In addition, after the faint golden light entered the body, the sharp cry of the seal became even more piercing, and the water waves gushing out became even more ferocious. This made Su Lin quickly close the membranes in his ears to resist the piercing sound. As for the violent water waves that swept over, they also hit Surin's wolf body in circles. Sonic attack. Such an attack is unavoidable in the ocean. Pung. 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 The water waves exploded on Su Lin's body one after another. It's just that his defense is too strong now. Even with the violent sound waves after talent bonuses, they still failed to break through Surin's defense. It just made him feel pain in his eyes, nose, and abdomen. The pain caused a cold light to flash in Su Lin's eyes. If it is on the shore, such a weak seal is simply a foreign flesh and blood given away for nothing. Even worse than the alien musk ox that was beheaded. But in the ocean, with its own home field advantage, even though the seal looks weak, it has exerted a lot of power. This made Su Lin plan to make a quick decision. After all, this is not his home field, and his combat power has been severely reduced. Su Lin continued to swim towards the seal, quickly. The swimming speed was very fast, causing ripples in the water. In the dark deep sea, he is like a white ghost breaking into the ocean. At a speed of 40 meters per second, it quickly caught up with the alien seal. This caused the seals to howl again and again as they fled in panic. The sharp screams brought about wave after wave of attacks, but these struggles were futile, and they couldn't break through Surin's defense at all. As the water wave exploded on the wolf's body, it only slowed down Su Lin's pursuit speed. But it's just a short delay. There is no time difference of a few minutes between early death and late death. In Su Lin's cold eyes, he quickly approached this alien seal again. The pale golden skin is extremely conspicuous in this dark sea. With Su Lin catching up, even if the alien seal roared wildly, it couldn't stop that Sanhan's killing intent. The claw, which was nearly 20 centimeters long, stabbed in the dark sea water, and slapped the seal's back fiercely, causing waves of surging water. Pung! This blow hit the seal's back firmly, leaving a bloodstain more than 10 centimeters deep. The blood from the bloodstain quickly spread amidst the sound waves of the seal's painful wailing. Su Lin seized this opportunity and pounced on the seal, firmly grasping the seal with his thick limbs. Even though the seal was struggling frantically, it couldn't get rid of Su Lin. Because his claws were tightly hooked into the body of the alien seal, struggling could only bring more intense pain to the seal. The seals are also in the desire to survive, still swimming and shaking their bodies quickly. Now it just wants to get rid of the white wolf and get away to a safe water. Even now, the seals are still unacceptable. How can there be wolves in the sea hundreds of meters deep? You must know that if it has no mutation itself, it will not be able to dive to a depth of several hundred meters, let alone a land creature like the wolf clan. Hundreds of meters deep, the water pressure made it feel uncomfortable. How did the wolves hold on? This made the alien seal feel only absurd. What happened to this world? The alien seal hadn't been feeling emotional for too long, and soon all his thoughts were sucked away by the sharp pain from his back. Katsa. Su Lin tore off a large piece of flesh and blood from the seal's body in one bite, and then swallowed it into his stomach. Caught the alien seal with all four limbs, unable to attack, but it was even easier for the sharp fangs to break through the seal's flesh. The meat quality of ordinary seals is extremely delicious, not to mention the meat of this exotic seal. This meat entered Surin's mouth, mixed with strands of sea water, which also added a touch of saltiness to the seal meat. It is very fresh and tender in the mouth, the nerve endings are not completely dead, and it still hops and hops in the mouth. Ding! The host eats a different species of seal and gains 60 evolutionary points. The first bite of the alien seal directly gave 60 evolution points. This made Su Lin's eyes light up. If you drag it back and eat this 1,000 caddies of seal meat, I'm afraid it will be enough to advance to level 12. In this way of thinking, Su Lin held on to this alien seal even more tightly. He must take the life of this alien seal. No hunter can give up such 1,000 caddies of high-quality foreign flesh and blood. This made Surin bite more violently on the seal's back. Katsa. Each bite will tear off a large piece of flesh. In this severe pain, the alien seal also howled sharply, and continued to rush towards the bottom of the sea again. It wanted to force the white wolf to give up its hunt by relying on the huge sea water pressure. It's just that this alien seal far underestimated Sulin's powerful genes for water suitability. Katza. He was still tearing at the flesh from the seal's back. The meat quality of the exotic seals is extremely delicious. Let Sulin bite and eat one mouthful after another. Ding. The host eats a different species of seal and gains 33 evolutionary points. Soon the evolutionary value was reduced to 33 points, and he ate at least 10 caddies of alien seal meat again. With so much flesh and blood, Sulin was almost full. Therefore, he stopped eating the seals of different species. With the help of his thick limbs, he completely rode the huge wolf body onto the seals. Then the mouth opened its mouth and went directly to the deadliest head of the alien seal. The alien seals were already excruciatingly painful in the fierce bite. Now, when he raised his head slightly, he saw the white wolf's maw, and it only felt panic, fear, and various complex emotions emerging one by one. She was even so frightened that she burst into tears. Just diving in the sea, you can't see the tears of the seals at all. Katza. In the end, the seal still failed to escape the fate of death. Sulin bit down hard, and directly smashed the hard skull of the alien seal into pieces. Swallowed the flesh and blood in his mouth again. As for the hardness of the seal's skull, it doesn't have the slightest problem for Surin, who possesses the evolution of devouring. After swallowing it into the mouth, it turned into billowing energy. At this time, 2 light gray reminders appeared in front of Sulin's eyes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for eating a level 10 alien seal brain and gaining 600 evolutionary points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for eating the residual talent essence of the foreign seal and purifying a talent serum. Surin did not expect that the essence of the seal is the brain. After this sip, not only did he get 600 evolution points, but he also got another talent serum. This made him suddenly happy. And after completely crushing the skull of this alien seal, the alien seal that was still struggling to dive down immediately became silent. The huge body of more than 3 meters suddenly turned into a pool of unconscious flesh and blood, floating with the current in the sea. Sulin looked at the carcass of a foreign seal that weighed more than 1,000 caddies, and his expression also brought out joy. Sure enough, only by going into the sea can we have a rich harvest. There are very few alien species on land. Especially in the North Pole, where species are expensive and scarce, the alien species in the 300 to 400 miles of Nuada have almost been hunted by Surin. Just when Sulin started to hold the corpse of this alien seal in his mouth, and planned to return to the ice layer upwards, but found that in the chase with the seals, he had lost his position. You must know that in the dark sea, even if Sulin has invincible perception, it is difficult to remember the direction all the time. But he was not discouraged. As long as he got on the ice, everything would be fine. He only swam a short distance, and he was not far from his own territory. But when Sulin was thinking this way, dragging the alien seal upstream, the smell on the seal's body, flowing along the sea water, opened the eyes of a sleeping existence nearby. The opening and closing of those eyes is extremely huge, and one eye is the size of a musk ox. It is covered with dense coral polyps, which cover its original breath. Even Sulin, who has invincible senses, felt that this was a large piece of floating seabed coral, but the moment this existence opened its eyes, the hairs all over Sulin's body exploded, and even in the sea water, they stood upside down one by one. An unprecedented sense of crisis, which surpassed any other time, came to my heart in an instant. This strong sense of crisis made Sulin's golden brown eyes widen, his sense of smell and hearing were fully mobilized, and he was looking for the source of this sense of crisis. When he was looking for it, he found that a huge piece of coral with a length of 300 or 400 meters moved beside him. Crash! Many coral polyps were shaken down, then a king squid with a body size of 300 to 400 meters, countless tentacles, and a pair of huge eyes appeared directly in front of Sulin. After the king squid revealed its true body and breath, all the fish in this area were running away frantically. Even a group of killer whales, a group of top marine predators several sea miles away, were shocked by this tyrannical aura, turned their heads and went in the opposite direction. And Su Lin has already been locked in by this unspeakable monstrous aura. Invincible. At this moment, Su Lin only felt that the king squid gave him the feeling that he was invincible. This is also the strongest species he has ever encountered, bar none. With a thought in Su Lin's mind, the attribute value of this giant squid appeared in front of his eyes. Species, king squid heterogeneous. Level 61. Chi and blood, 81859. Stamina, 3358. Strength, 3396. Defense, 3237. Speed, 301. Talents, concentration level C, poison ink level B, berserk level A. Su Lin looked at the attribute values of the king squid in front of him, and felt that it was a bit too strong. It turns out that the truly invincible alien is not on land, but in the deep sea. Such a king squid can be said to have no single enemy on land. More than 80,000 blood points, thousands of defense and strength. With such an attribute, it seems that nothing can withstand a blow in front of it. Even Su Lin felt that even with ordinary missiles and fish, it would be difficult for it to completely break through the defense of this giant squid. I am afraid that the only way to kill this kind of sea monster level existence is to bombard it regardless of consumption or use nuclear weapons. The king squid that Su Lin knew before was only 80 or 90 meters long at most. But this one has surpassed the limit of the species, and even Su Lin thinks that this is an existence that evolved into a different species before the natural disaster. Otherwise, it would be impossible to evolve so fast. With a size of 300 to 400 meters, this is larger than most human warships and submarines. Moreover, the mutation in the depths of the ocean is the most silent. Maybe there was a mutation before the natural disaster of the blizzard. At this moment, facing this invincible king squid, Su Lin felt so close to death for the first time. Su Lin glanced at the alien seal in his mouth, and knew that it might be the smell spreading from the alien seal, which stimulated the king squid. He let go of the alien seal, and at the same time began to mobilize the peak strength of his whole body. Su Lin has experienced so many killings, and his mind has already become extremely tenacious. The murderous and ferocious nature of his body is also higher than that of the little lone wolf and the alien lynx. If relying on this alien seal as bait, the king squid cannot be diverted and locked onto its target, then it will have to fight hard. After turning on the hunting talent, even in the water, Su Lin's speed can surpass this king squid for a short time. Coupled with the powerful healing talent, as long as he is not dead, no matter how serious the injury is, he can recover quickly. What's more, he also has 5 recovery potions and the ability to devour evolution. Su Lin's whole cards were all smashed out. If you don't believe it, you can't rush out. But obviously, it was too late for this seal to escape. Su Lin stuck close to the seal. Crash. The wolf's claw broke through the water and hit the seal hard. But at this time, Su Lin also felt the inconvenience of being in sea water. The strong water flow resistance not only weakened his speed, but also greatly reduced his strength when breaking through the water flow. Pung! Although this blow hit the seal's neck severely, it cut a wound on the seal's neck, but it didn't show the invincible power of Surin on the shore, just knocking the seal flying 7 or 8 meters, the remaining power disappeared. If it was on the shore, this blow could at least kill half of the alien seal. The strength has also been cut by at least half. Seeing this scene, Su Lin's heart sank. The strength and speed are cut in half, which is almost equivalent to the strength being cut in half. In the absence of moral and legal constraints, strength has become the most important capital for survival, so such a terrifying reduction made Su Lin feel that it would be better to catch some fish in the submerged layer in the future, and then slowly descend to the deep water area as his strength grows. And following Su Lin's fierce blow, the seal on the opposite side also howled in pain. This howl was very sharp, and the transmission of the sea water on the bottom of the sea formed a series of lethal water waves. Many small fishes that encountered this water wave were instantly torn apart and turned into a blood mist. But this fluctuation is still too weak for Su Lin. Even his hair defense couldn't be broken at all. Surin resisted the sound wave and walked towards the injured alien seal again. Seeing that Su Lin was not affected at all, the seal started swimming and fleeing in panic. While fleeing, his body immediately emitted a pale golden fluorescence. This alien seal decisively used its talent when faced with threats to its life. Crash! The sound of running water is endless. All kinds of species in this area have already fled without a trace under the tyrannical breath of the king squid, only the sound of the sea water flowing remains. Level 61. This is the highest level of species Surin has ever seen. He knows that as the level increases, the attributes added in each subsequent level will increase as the level increases. Therefore, it is expected that this king squid has such powerful attributes at level 61. This level of strength can be said to be at the real peak of the food chain. Thinking about it, even in the vast and unfathomable sea, this king squid is definitely a dominant existence. As Su Lin let go of the alien seal in his mouth, he really felt that the locked breath on his body weakened a lot. But still not completely gone. There was no emotion in the giant squid's indifferent eyes. This caused Su Lin's eyes to reveal a touch of determination, and he directly pushed the corpse of the alien seal away with his wolf claws. Then he fled in the opposite direction. While swimming, he didn't hesitate at all, and instantly activated his hunting talent. The tyrannical force brought about by the hunting talent immediately flooded Su Lin's whole body. Those golden brown eyes also became as scarlet as blood. Limbs become thicker. Facing such an invincible king squid, Su Lin immediately showed his strongest state. After opening the hunting talent, at this moment, his speed was faintly approaching 100 meters per second again. This speed is extremely fast in the ocean. Because the resistance of water flow is much stronger than the resistance of air. Crash! Such a fast speed made Su Lin flee here quickly like a white lightning. And Su Lin's speed of 100 meters per second obviously exceeded King Squid's expectation. It is also very rare that there is a touch of emotional fluctuation in its huge and indifferent eyes. Because for King Squid, he had never seen wolves at all. Even in the bottom of the sea, no strange white species has ever seen such a fast swimming speed. What species is this? Even though it has a high IQ, it still doesn't know what kind of species Surin is. But in surprise, one of its tentacles with a length of 60 to 70 meters swept towards Su Lin. If you want to capture this strange species, check it out. The other tentacle rolled up the floating alien seal carcass, and sent it directly into its mouth that could swallow a white whale. Crash! When the king squid opened and closed its huge mouth, it brought out the turbulent sea water, and also exposed the sharp giant teeth. The powerful and pure energy contained in the 3-meter-long alien seal is unimaginable. But it was swallowed into the mouth of the king squid, as if it could only be stuffed between its teeth. At this time, Su Lin felt the huge water fluctuation behind him, and he didn't dare to look back at all. It can only swim vigorously. He never expected that the first time he went into the sea to hunt and kill a different species of seal, he would encounter a king squid at the level of a sea monster. Pung! A tyrannical stream of water rushed towards Su Lin, and he could already smell the stench coming from the tentacles of the king squid behind him. This made Su Lin clench his wolf teeth and continued to swim vigorously. Must rush out. He hasn't grown to the strongest yet. As long as he can survive, sooner or later, this king squid will only be the blood food in Su Lin's mouth. In the strong desire to survive, Su Lin's speed faintly increased by a line. The adrenaline burst out suddenly, and the numerical attributes exceeded the panel display for a while. But this tentacle is too long, and the speed is very fast. The end of the first 3 or 4 meters still touched Su Lin. Crash! Accompanied by the sound of powerful water flow, the end of this tentacle wrapped tightly around Su Lin's wolf body. Ah! Surin howled. It's just that the wolf's howl was no longer as rough and loud as on land, but only brought out bursts of water bubbles. The powerful force engulfed Su Lin tightly, causing his speed to stagnate immediately. The fiercest fierce light flashed in front of Su Lin's eyes. Fight to the death. He knew that he had reached the point of desperately fighting now, and he couldn't admit defeat at all. Pung! The right claw with the hunting talent smashed hard at the end of this tentacle. But this time, it was enough to open a monument and crack a stone, and the invincible wolf's claws didn't make any achievements. With a strength value of more than 800, it only cut a wound of only 7 or 8 centimeters on the end of this tentacle. But the wound didn't even break through the flesh of the tentacle. However, the end of the tentacles is often the most sensitive place, and the pain also brought a touch of surprise in the huge eyes of the king squid. It really didn't expect that this little white guy could actually cause it pain, even if the pain was very weak. The pain from it made it more interested in Su Lin. The end of the tentacles began to exert force, trying to sweep this little guy who was only about 4 meters over and let him have a closer look. Just when its tentacles tightly entangled Su Lin and were about to drag him back. There was a hint of ruthlessness in Su Lin's scarlet eyes, and the wolf teeth were fiercely going towards the wound that had just been cut 7 or 8 centimeters apart. Bite is often the most powerful attack of wolves. So the force contained in this bite surpassed the slap of the wolf's claw just now, and the sharpness of the fangs far surpassed the wolf's claw. Katsa! With such a sharp bite, it actually broke through the defense at the end of this tentacle, biting out traces of blood. The blood flowed into the mouth, and the devouring evolution started instantly. Ding! The host eats the alien king squid and gains 1500 evolution points. Ding! The host eats species far beyond its own level, and gains 2000 evolution points. One bite, a full 3500 evolution points. Such an evolutionary value allowed him to reach the verge of breaking through level 12. But now Su Lin doesn't care about the joy of this huge evolutionary value at all. His scarlet eyes continued to bite the end of this tentacle with endless ferocity. The defense at the end of the tentacles is very weak, but no matter how weak it is, it still has at least 1000 defense points. It's just that this defense value has no effect under the tyrannical devouring power. Katsa! Under the extremely tyrannical devouring force, this nerve ending was directly broken, as if it was bitten off by Su Lin. Under the power of devouring, the whole wound has no blood left by the bite, instead, it is smooth and tidy, as if half of it has been melted by a mysterious force. Buzz! The pain from the broken tentacles made the giant squid hum uncontrollably. King squid does not have a vocal organ, and this buzzing sound is like the sound of all the cells and tissues in the body vibrating together. The power of this vibrating sound far surpassed the sonic attack of the alien seals, bringing out huge waves of surging water rushing towards Surin. Pung! 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 The tyrannical impact made Su Lin spit out blood directly, and felt a dull pain in his internal organs. But he didn't dare to stay for a moment, and took advantage of this wave of water to swim to the distance again. But the king squid behind obviously didn't want to let him go like this. Several thick tentacles attacked him again. Even though Su Lin's swimming speed was already very fast, and he avoided the attack of the 2 tentacles by relying on feints, he was still rubbed against his back by the end of one of the tentacles. Pung! Su Lin felt that the bones on his back were shattered in an instant, and his internal organs were also shattered. The whole body of the wolf seemed to be unable to bear the force and was about to explode. Healing talent. Su Lin gritted his wolf teeth, endured the pain of being torn apart, and activated his healing talent. Consuming stamina can speed up the recovery speed of the healing talent. With the decline of physical strength, under the white fluorescence of the healing talent, the whole wolf body finally stabilized, and the feeling of bursting began to fade away. And Su Lin was also consuming his physical strength to run the healing talent, and at the same time escaped here with the help of the tyrannical impact force that was just drawn. The alien king squid behind him was still moving and chasing after it. Due to its huge size, the king squid does not seem to move fast, but it actually has a speed of 80 or 90 meters per second. Pung! There was a surge of sea water. Su Lin is smaller in size, and he can swim faster with the surge of the sea water, and he is getting a little distance from the king squid. At a speed of hundreds of meters per second, he traveled nearly 10 kilometers in just over a minute. During this period, Surin finally escaped from the pursuit of the king squid with the help of the huge coral, seaweed and other hidden figures on the bottom of the sea. While escaping, Su Lin was also grazed on the side by the tentacles. Now if he hadn't been running the healing talent, his whole wolf body would have already been torn apart. Fear. The attack power of this king squid is really terrifying. Su Lin, who was seriously injured, saw that the huge figure of the king squid finally disappeared behind him, endured the pain, dragged the wolf's body, and swam quickly towards the ice layer above. Sure enough, the deep sea is still very dangerous for him. This time I met the king squid. Next time, if we encounter a group of alien killer whales in groups, or the equally huge Arctic sea jellyfish, I don't know if we can rush out. As for which area he is in now, he had already forgotten during his frantic escape just now. Anyway, as long as you are on land, it will be relatively safer. In this thought, Su Lin swam with his wolf paws. And when Su Lin had just swam not far away, he suddenly saw the end of the 1-meter-long tentacle bitten off by himself. Haha. Emperor Heaven pays off those who work hard. Seeing the end of the tentacle that was more than 1 meter long, Su Lin was overjoyed. Originally, he had planned to return empty-handed, but when he saw the end of the tentacles weighing 1 or 200 catties, he felt like his saliva was about to flow down. One mouthful is more than 3,000 evolutionary points, so the terrifying evolutionary value acquisition is much more than that of the alien seal. This made Su Lin very excited. It was a pity that I gave up this tentacle just now in order to escape for my life, but I didn't expect it to float along the current. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. At this moment, Su Lin, who was excited, even felt a lot less pain in his body. He bit the end of this tentacle and swam towards the ice layer above with the end of the tentacle. With this tentacle, Su Lin thinks that not only can he break through to level 12, but even level 13 is expected. After all, the evolution value provided by the flesh and blood of the king squid is astonishing. In addition, the flesh and blood of the king squid can provide so much evolutionary value, so how much can its essence parts provide? Thinking of this, Su Lin felt full of motivation. The more powerful the species, the better the fuel for his evolution. Crash. After swimming for a while, Su Lin finally dragged the tip of the 1-meter-long tentacle and crawled from the sea to the ice. It's just that this ice layer didn't meet a suitable ice mouth. Looking at the 3 or 4 feet thick ice layer, Su Lin's eyes once again showed a fierce look, and he directly swung his wolf claws to smash the ice layer hard. Pung! The huge impact only caused a slight crack to appear on the ice layer. You must know that the ice layer frozen all year round in the Sinhan North Pole is beyond imagination, even steel is hard to match. Therefore, even if the strengthened right claw strikes with all its strength, it only creates a tiny crack. But Su Lin didn't give up. Now, because he has been running the healing talent to heal his wounds, his physical strength is exhausted very quickly, and he has no time to find the ice mouth. Therefore, under the fierce eyes, it took several blows with all its strength, and finally broke the ice layer into a 2-meter-long ice mouth. Pung! Along with the sound of the ice being torn apart, Su Lin also swam up from the sea. Crash! The sound of the sea breaking through, streams of water dripping from the body of the Surin wolf. After climbing up, he first glanced at the surrounding environment, and found that it was indeed not the ice layer he was familiar with. And it feels extremely cold here, and the temperature is faintly comparable to that at the bottom of the iceberg crevice that day. 70 to 80 degrees below zero, at this temperature even steel can be frozen as fragile as glass. But Su Lin has the cold resistance of polar ice worms, not to mention this temperature, even if it is below zero and hundreds of degrees, it will not hurt. Whoa! Whoa! At this time, he threw the tentacles in his mouth onto the ice, and began to pant heavily. Su Lin also stopped the healing talent that consumed physical energy. Just as he stopped, the pain of being torn apart from the whole wolf body came again. He glanced back, his wolf body was still covered in blood. The blood mixed with the sea water, turning into puddles of blood and dripping onto the ice floor. the qi and blood value also flowed rapidly along with the blood. In the cold and icy world, Su Lin must recover from his injuries as much as possible. So looking at the end of the tentacles of the king squid in front of him, he devoured it again. He has reached the verge of breaking through level 12, as long as he gains some more evolutionary points, he can officially be promoted. At that time, the mysterious evolution energy can restore the wound on the wolf's body to its original state. Katsa. Su Lin bit hard at the end of the tentacle that was more than 1 meter long. The flesh defense at the end of the tentacle was still very tough. After biting hard for a long time, he finally bit off a piece of flesh. After eating it in my mouth, I chewed it for a long time. It felt like eating brown sugar again, and I couldn't bite it at all. In the end, the tyrannical devouring power was activated to digest the flesh and blood in his mouth. After digestion, the billowing energy filled Surin's limbs and bones. Ding! The host eats the alien king squid and gains 1497 evolution points. Ding! The host eats species far beyond its own level, and gains 1500 evolution points. A light gray message prompt appeared in front of my eyes. This time, the reduction rate of the additional light gray news commission was much greater than Su Lin imagined. Cut 500 points in one go. Sure enough, extra things can't last long. But the evolution value close to 3000 points also allowed Su Lin to reach the critical value of breakthrough. Ah! With a loud and clear long howl, it sounded over the cold North Pole. That mysterious energy of evolution came again. Su Lin concentrated his whole body and mind, and began to absorb this energy. This mysterious energy wanders anywhere in Surin's wolf body, it feels icy cold and very comfortable. Energy took the lead in recovering Su Lin's injuries, and heat began to rise from the majestic wolf's body. On the wolf body that was almost torn apart, the terrifying wounds were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. The bones and internal organs that were shattered by the huge force recovered in a short time. This mysterious energy recovery speed also made Su Lin seem to see the effect of the upgraded healing talent. If one could really achieve such a powerful recovery ability, it would be truly immortal. Next, after recovering from the injury, this mysterious energy began to nourish and strengthen every corner of the wolf's body. Surin's hair became thicker. The thick hair can also provide a lot of defense, the outer skin has also become tougher, and the defense has risen to another level. Now Su Lin feels that his defensive power can also ignore less powerful gun bullets. If it is a shotgun, a sniper, a machine gun, or a large caliber rifle, it can still cause him a lot of damage. But with the speed of coming and going without a trace, even a professional soldier would find it difficult to hit him. Strong senses can also help him make the best evasion route. Immediately afterwards, Su Lin's wolf claws also grew 2 or 3 centimeters longer, and the length of the claws reached more than 20 centimeters, needless to say the sharpness. Besides, fangs, limbs, bones, etc. have also ushered in a big improvement. The 4-meter-long wolf body also ushered in another round of growth, directly growing to the point of 4 meters 4-5, counting the length of the wolf's tail, Su Lin's figure faintly approached 6 meters. 6 meters? This is absolutely amazing among wolves. Even the African elephant, which claims to be the largest, cannot match the size of Surin. After a while, this mysterious evolutionary energy gradually disappeared, the latest property panel appeared in front of my eyes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for advancing to level 12. Name, Su Lin. Species, Arctic wolf. Gene level, I level, level 12. Upgrading requires 40,000 evolution points. Vitality, 3200. Stamina, 260. Strength, 290. Defense, 270. Speed, 390. Extra attribute value, 30. Evolution value, 2850. Talent, hunting, sea level healing, a level. This increase in strength is huge. From level 11 to level 12, each attribute value has an additional 30 points, and even the blood value has increased by 300 points. When breaking through from level 10 to level 11, it should have added 20 points to each attribute value. It seems that after breaking through to level 10, although the evolution value required for promotion has increased to 5 digits, the attributes after promotion have also increased a lot. In the future, every level up will increase the strength, which will be huge. At present, Su Lin looked at the 30 extra attribute points, and still added them to the speed without hesitation. This allowed him to reach a speed value of 420 directly. With a speed value of 420, he can run at full speed to approach a speed of 150 meters per second. After opening the hunting talent, it will be comparable to the speed of sound. After being promoted to level 12, all the injuries on the wolf's body recovered, and Su Lin's spirit also recovered a lot. He looked up and looked in all directions, and found that there was a vast expanse of white ice, which was very desolate. Since he didn't know the direction, Su Lin didn't find a direction indiscriminately. He planned to find a cave to recuperate for a while, and after confirming where it was, he would find a way to leave. With this in mind, Surin picked up the remaining tentacles and searched for a cave where he could temporarily stay. The temperature in this area is very cold. Let him feel that even if it is not Jisun, it is not much worse. During the search, Su Lin found that there are indeed very few signs of life here. There are almost no traces of Arctic hares, Arctic ducks, seals, walruses, etc. There are even few birds in the sky, only a few here and there. There is quite a feeling that thousands of mountains and birds are flying away, and thousands of people are gone. After searching for more than an hour, Surin found an ice cave with a good location. Yes, this is an ice cave. It is located on an iceberg that protrudes more than 100 meters. The road up is also very smooth and steep, but fortunately, it wasn't too difficult for Su Lin. With 100 caddies of tentacles in his mouth, he jumped 17 or 8 meters. With the help of a relatively gentle area, it didn't take long to climb up. This ice cave is not too big. It is the size of the cave where the wolf father and wolf mother live. It is not a problem for 20 or so Arctic wolves to live there on weekdays. After Su Lin came in, the cold air inside the ice cave became even heavier. It's just that it's harmless to him. The cold has hardly bothered Su Lin. Otherwise, at such a temperature, Su Lin would definitely not temporarily camp under such an ice cave. After all, the extremely cold temperature will cause a large loss of physical strength. Entering the cave, he first randomly found a corner and placed the tentacles of the king squid. Then I lay down on my stomach and started a short rest and sleep. Since this place is not within his own territory, Su Lin did not sleep like usual, but only regained some energy from a light sleep. For Su Lin, who had ingested the flesh and blood of Shuizhao's Jin, even if he didn't sleep for a few days, he wouldn't feel too sleepy. It's just that the fastest way to restore physical strength is sleep. In a shallow sleep, Su Lin reserved 2 points of his powerful induction for vigilance. Time passed quietly in sleep. And at this time, Xiao Wei and Xiao Bai, who had already dragged the 3 seal corpses back to the cave, saw that their boss hadn't come back yet. They all came down from the cave with some worry, and ran towards the ice again. Xiao Hui has the strength of mid-level 6, and can sweep all hunters in a field as long as he does not encounter polar bears. I didn't worry about safety issues, and this time, my cousin led 6 female wolves to follow. When the wolves came to the mouth of the ice layer again, Xiao Hui kept sniffing at the mouth of the ice layer, but he didn't find the fresh scent of his own boss. At first, it thought that its boss was omnipotent, and it was normal to go into the sea to hunt fish. But now it has been a full 10 hours, and nothing has appeared. This made Xiao Hui panic. After all, as the wolf king of the wolf pack, Su Lin is the most important thing in the wolf pack. It is also the first group of members of the wolf clan, with the belief of invincibility in their hearts. If something really happened to the boss, and now it is the little lone wolf leading most of the wolf clan to conquer outside. Xiao Hui didn't dare to think what would happen. After all, the strong are always respected in the pack of wolves. After the disappearance of the wolf king, in order to survive, they can only choose the strongest wolf clan to succeed the wolf king. At this time, the cousin also reacted. She looked at the ice mouth and then at Xiao Hui, very angry. She didn't expect Su Lin to jump into the sea. In her perception, wolves live on land, so jumping into the sea is not asking for trouble. But Xiao Hui and Xiao Bai, who came out with them, did it take so long to come out to have a look? This angry cousin couldn't help biting Xiao Hui's neck and flesh several times. Although the cousin is far from Xiao Hui's opponent, Xiao Hui, who is a different species, dare not express dissatisfaction with her cousin, and can only howl in a low voice admitting her mistake. Because the cousin and wolf sister are the most important things in the eyes of the boss. Even if the cousin taught it, it did not dare to resist. As for Xiao Bai, after waiting at the mouth of the ice layer for a while, he just plunged down, ready to try to go into the sea to find the boss. As a polar bear, Xiao Bai has reached the middle stage of level 3 and has a certain ability to enter the water. But it can only dive in shallow water of 10 meters and 8 meters. Once it goes down, whether it is pressure or breathing, it will be very fatal to it, which is still very weak. However, it wandered around in the shallow water for a long time, and finally failed to find its own boss. After returning to the ice layer, I was a little frustrated. Ah. Seeing that Xiao Bai went into the water but failed to find Su Lin, all the wolves raised their heads and howled. He wanted to try to make the Wolf King hear it through the loud, long, penetrating wolf howl. But all in vain, except for the chirping of birds in the extreme daylight, there was no response. The cousin led the wolves to search all over the ice, but still couldn't find it. It made her feel anxious. He started howling and beckoned a female wolf to call the little lone wolf back and look for Su Lin together. But in the end it was Xiao Hui who stopped him. Although Xiao Hui is usually a little naive, but when encountering big things, he is very calm. In addition, as a heterogeneous species, her IQ is much higher than that of her cousin. Now this situation, the cousin, and the little lone wolf are all the second wolf in the wolf pack, and have the same status. Because I grew up with my boss and cousin since I was a child. It's okay to obey my cousin's orders. But will little lone wolf really listen? With the extremely ferocious combat power of the little lone wolf, he was no longer its opponent. Coupled with the nearly 20 brave wolf clan under his command, even if he and his cousin joined forces, they couldn't stop it. So without the boss, can the cousin really suppress the little lone wolf? Will the little lone wolf really listen to his cousin's orders? This made little Hui stop the female wolf, and decided to let the little lone wolf clear out the remaining forces of the large wolf pack in the west. For myself and the rest of the wolf clan, just look for the boss carefully. After all, with the boss's invincible combat power and extremely clever wisdom, how could something happen? He must have encountered some new prey and went hunting alone. In this kind of thinking, Xiao Hui also howled and communicated with her cousin. After communicating for a long time, the very worried cousin finally calmed down a little. But in the end, he still sent out 6 female wolves under his command, and asked them to search for the Wolf King in this area, with a radius of 300 or 400 miles. Time passed quickly under the extreme day and the extreme night. It was 3 days in a flash. In these 3 days, Su Lin's physical strength has already recovered to its peak. By devouring the tentacles of the king squid, he also gained more than 30,000 evolutionary points. There are still 70 to 80 caddies left, and it will definitely break through to level 13 after eating. Made money. Losing 1,000 caddies of the meat of a different species of seal can be exchanged for tens of thousands of evolutionary points. Definitely a bloodbath. And eating a bite has thousands of evolutionary points, even if it is reduced by 3 points each time, it will take a long time to reduce. Besides, during these 3 days, Su Lin also turned around this area. It is found that there are very few species in this area, only a few scattered and extremely cold-resistant birds. The rest of the species simply disappeared, but at one of the largest icebergs, many footprints of dogs and bears were found. However, with his powerful and keen senses, Su Lin could feel the dangerous aura coming from the iceberg. So I just stared at the periphery for a long time and didn't rush in. After the great change of the world, no one can say what kind of powerful existence will be inside the iceberg. The giant squid encountered in the sea is a living example, and the alien species in this world should not be underestimated. In addition, Su Lin felt that he would also use the talent serum obtained by eating the brains of seals, so as to add a sense of security. Su Lin, who returned to the ice cave at this time, did not waste time. With a thought, he took out the talent serum. At present, the healing talent has reached level A, and the hunting talent has reached C level. No matter which one is strengthened, it can greatly improve Su Lin's strength. In particular, the healing talent can actively consume stamina and speed up recovery, making the life-saving ability even stronger. Ding! Is the talent serum used? Use. After using it, a very comfortable warm current appeared on the body of the Surin wolf again. It's just that this time Su Lin discovered that this warm energy has been flowing for a long time, but it still hasn't been absorbed by the wolf body. Huh? What's the situation? Just when Su Lin was a little surprised, this warm current changed suddenly, changing like a flame. After changing, it brought out a burning pain. This burning is different from the roasting of the enhanced serum, it is a feeling of melting the flame into the body. Ah! Su Lin couldn't help but let out a low howl, and then his eyes flashed. Because he could feel a new energy gradually appearing in his body. In the past, talent serums were used to strengthen talents, but they ignored the fact that talent serums had a 10% chance of unlocking new talents, and what is now opened is probably a new talent. Having already experienced the pain of destruction and rebirth, Su Lin can still hold back this pain. He also wanted to see what kind of new talent he would open up. The flames transformed by the talent serum surged little by little in the wolf body towards Su Lin. Absorbing warm currents and absorbing flames, the feeling brought about is naturally very different. In this pain, about half an hour passed. Only then did the flames completely pour into Su Lin's wolf body. Immediately afterwards, a light gray message prompt appeared in front of his eyes. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the B-level hidden talent. Hidden talent? Seeing this reminder, Su Lin also felt the pain in his body gradually disappear. He is looking forward to the new talents he has unlocked. After the pain disappeared, the introduction of the hidden talent appeared in front of his eyes within a few seconds. Concealment, level B, cannot be upgraded, active talent. After opening, the breath completely disappears, and the figure enters the invisible state, without attribute bonus, and can coexist with other talents. Duration, 8 hours. Cooldown, 24 hours. When the introduction of the new talent appeared in front of him, Su Lin read it carefully and felt that this talent was much stronger than the latent talent of the alien lynx. The breath completely disappeared, and the figure entered the invisible state. This is similar to the latent talent of the alien lynx, however, the latent talent of the heterogeneous lynx can only make the figure and the surrounding environment blend together, looking very similar. But the hidden talent can enter the invisible state. This directly killed the latent talent in seconds. In the last blizzard, if the alien lynx had entered the invisible state, then Su Lin might not be able to track it at all. As for the duration, it is a full 8 hours. This time a little too against the sky. With 8 full hours of invisibility, there will be many, many things that can be done. Call. Su Lin heaved a sigh of relief, and his expression was also happy. Although this hidden talent will not increase the attribute, the actual combat effect it will bring will be extremely against the sky. In the future, whether it is assassination, lurking, surprise attack, retreat, etc., it will definitely be an extremely useful talent. Made money! This talent made Su Lin very satisfied. He got up and came to the entrance of the ice cave, looking at the largest iceberg in the distance. There is also a desire to explore in the golden brown eyes. With the talent of concealment, the safety is also greatly guaranteed. Let's find out what is in the iceberg. Su Lin said in his heart. This hidden talent came just in time, go into this largest iceberg and take a look. If there are still the same flower iceberg lotus that I encountered last time, it is really lucky. originally thought that being chased and killed by the king squid was a downright unlucky thing, but now it seems that it is a blessing and a curse. In this mood, Su Lin walked out of the ice cave. With a leap, he began to jump down from the iceberg. The bone-piercing wind blowing head-on only slightly stirred Su Lin's hair, without making him feel cold at all. Next, Su Lin quickly rushed towards the huge iceberg protruding from the ice layer with a height of more than 1,000 meters. This iceberg is the biggest iceberg Surin has ever seen. Even the iceberg that got the iceberg lotus last time is nothing compared to this one. The part that can protrude is more than 1,000 meters. It is hard to imagine how big the part of the iceberg that has sunk in the sea is. Is it really an iceberg 10,000 meters high? Thinking of this possibility, Su Lin gasped. You must know that Mount Everest, known as the highest peak in the world, is only 8 or 9 kilometers high. Now that an iceberg is tens of thousands of meters high, how unbelievable is this? It's just that after the great changes in the world, various abnormal phenomena occurred frequently, and Su Lin was not surprised for a long time. However, he felt that there must be something unimaginable to the outside world in this huge iceberg. In a short time, Su Lin arrived at the periphery of this huge iceberg. He looked inside from the icy road in the rugged area that entered the iceberg, and he could still feel the faint and extraordinary power. At this moment, Su Lin mobilized all his senses to the extreme, wanting to see or hear something from inside the iceberg. But after watching for a long time, I saw nothing and heard nothing. However, Su Lin looked down and saw the footprints of dogs and bears on the periphery of the iceberg. He felt that at least 2 groups of hunters had charged into the iceberg. So after pondering for a moment, he walked towards the depths of the iceberg. There are definitely some natural treasures in this towering iceberg, otherwise it would not attract so many hunters, and hunters who can survive in such a cold climate should also have some capital. Su Lin didn't take it lightly. After he cautiously walked into the iceberg from the ice road in the rugged area, he could feel the cold air inside the iceberg becoming more intense. White mist, even with Su Lin's amazing vision, he can only see things within 200 to 300 meters. This is a dangerous distance. Because if there is a sudden surprise attack by a species, it is easy to be unable to respond to this distance. This made Su Lin maximize all senses, not only relying on vision. Even hearing, smell, sixth sense, etc., are fully functioning. Su Lin opened up his senses to the maximum. Although the hearing and sense of smell were also covered by the gray cold, they could still detect movement within 2 or 3 kilometers. At the same time, Su Lin also noticed a very abnormal natural phenomenon inside the iceberg. That is, the oxygen density here is also extremely high. You must know that except for some alien species that can ignore natural conditions and break through the upper limit of races, the body size of most other species is linked to the oxygen density. Only the higher the oxygen density, the larger the size of the animal. So if there are living species here, they must be very large. This made Su Lin narrow his wolf eyes slightly, and still cautiously explore the iceberg. For the first 400 or 500 meters into the iceberg, there was nothing too unusual. It's just that the cold air is getting heavier, and the inside of the iceberg is even more winding and rugged, like a maze. Su Lin could only rely on his keen sense of smell to follow the scent of the walker and walk inside. At this time, due to the slow circulation of gas inside the iceberg, he could already vaguely distinguish what race these smells belonged to. The smell of wolves, bears, and some lynxes. These lynxes were relatively light and did not leave marks on the periphery of the iceberg. According to common sense, these species can indeed withstand severe cold, but the severe cold of -70 or 80 degrees can also cause very serious frostbite to them. Unless these are heterogeneous. When thinking of this possibility, Su Lin couldn't help shaking his head. Alien species are still very rare, far from reaching the point of bad streets. Every alien species is in existence, with extremely strong growth potential in their respective races. How could it be possible to reach the point of rotten streets? Unless there is another possibility, it is a heterogeneous pile of pure energy. The polar ice worm I encountered last time in the crevice of the iceberg is an example. It's just that the polar ice worms are small in size, and it doesn't take much pure energy to pile them up into different species. But for the wolf clan, lynx clan, and bear clan, it is definitely not a simple matter to promote the alien race simply by pure energy. To be honest, Su Lin has been feeding his cousin the flesh and blood of different species all these days, and he also wants to pile up the cousin into a different species. When the energy in the body reaches a certain level, once it breaks through the upper limit of the race, it will naturally evolve into a different species again. It's just obvious that this requires a lot of time and the intake of a lot of heterogeneous flesh and blood. Next, Su Lin didn't think anymore, and continued to go deeper into the iceberg. The cold air inside the iceberg is getting heavier, and the range of vision that can be seen is getting smaller and smaller, but the hearing and sense of smell are not reduced much. After entering the iceberg, the ice road in this rugged area gradually descends. That is, leading to the inside of the ice layer. The surrounding vision became darker and darker, but after Su Lin walked another 300 or 400 meters, he heard the low howling of wolves in front very keenly. The howling sound was very weak, like a low-pitched recommunication, but it was still completely absorbed by Su Lin's ears. Huh? Ice monster? Destroy? What do you mean? Su Lin frowned slightly when he heard the howling of the wolves in front of him. For these exchanges, he can hear the meaning, but he doesn't know what to say. Could it be that there are ice monsters in the iceberg? Su Lin thinks it is nonsense. It may be that the wolves have a low IQ, and they will naturally call the unknown species weird. He continued to walk forward, but this time, the speed was slightly faster, and he wanted to pursue the wolf clan ahead. Look at the wolves who can enter the cave. What kind of goods are they? By the way, let's see what they are discussing. However, as Su Lin got deeper and deeper, his expression became a little heavy. Because he found that in the corner of the ice wall, there were several scattered human corpses that had been frozen into ice. Humanity. This is almost the pole of the North Pole. There is no direction of north here, because north has already been trampled underfoot. At the same time, the temperature in Sanhan dropped to nearly -100 degrees. At such a temperature, even if humans rely on liquid nitrogen protective clothing, it is difficult to survive for a long time. After all, this is a temperature that can freeze steel into a fragile glass. This made Surin's eyes full of curiosity. How could human corpses appear here? He scraped the snow and ice off the ice with his wolf claws, and took a closer look. It was found that these humans were wearing clothes from the last century. Soon I saw the obvious Soviet Union logo on the protective clothing. Huh? The Soviet Union? Su Lin's expression eased. As the absolute overlord in the 1970s and 1980s, it is easy to understand that the Soviet Union once explored the North Pole. After all, the North Pole borders the Soviet Union here, which is equivalent to the back garden of the Soviet Union. But Su Lin is still very curious. What happened to the people of the Soviet Union here? How could so many people die here and there? Or was it once a research base of the Soviet Union? As the overlord during the Cold War, the Soviet Union naturally conducted countless extremely secretive research and experiments. When he was a human in his previous life, Su Lin was very fond of adventures. Now seeing traces of humans in the huge iceberg at the extreme center of the North Pole, his expression suddenly became active. This proves that his judgment is absolutely correct. Whether it was the Soviet Union in the last century or the hunters who entered the iceberg, it all symbolizes that there are absolutely unimaginable things inside the iceberg. Su Lin didn't hesitate, and continued to go deeper into the iceberg. As it got deeper and deeper, the extraordinary energy swaying inside the iceberg became heavier and heavier, and the concentration of oxygen became more and more dense. Breathing the rich oxygen, Su Lin felt that the cells in his body became more active. After waiting for him to travel more than a kilometer quickly, he finally approached the place where the howling of wolves was heard just now. It was at this moment that Su Lin directly activated his hidden talent. He still doesn't know what's going on inside the iceberg, so he naturally doesn't want to expose it to many hunters. After the concealment was turned on, there was no fluorescence emitted from the body. On the contrary, The body shape gradually became transparent, and the aura from Su Lin's body gradually dissipated. In a few seconds, Su Lin's huge figure of more than 4 meters was completely hidden, the breath also completely disappeared. It was as if there had never been any signs of life in this space. The sound came from a huge cave inside the iceberg, and Su Lin quietly touched it. As soon as he entered, Su Lin was a little shocked by the scene in front of him. Because in this cave there are not only groups of icicles and broken ice everywhere as imagined. Instead, what appeared in front of my eyes was a very empty and huge ice palace. This palace is very majestic and splendid, and there are many lifelike carvings on the palace. In addition, there are many modern industrialized research instruments under the palace. It can be seen that people from the former Soviet Union did indeed conduct very secret experiments here. As for whether the palace was built by the Soviet Union, Su Lin couldn't say for sure. Because the breath given to him by this palace is a bit similar to the breath of the crystal coffin he encountered before crossing. It was at this time that Su Lin suddenly thought of the complicated words on the crystal coffin again. Ice Age, great changes in the world, evolution of species, revival of gods and demons. After he thought of the last fragment of text, he couldn't help but gasp. The gods and demons are revived. If this is true, how about playing with a hammer? All species in the world, even humans who claim to have the most advanced technology, don't they have to give way to gods and demons? Fortunately, Su Lin quickly suppressed this shocking idea. After all, this is too unbelievable. What made him pay attention was the wolf in this group of wolves. The alpha wolf can be easily identified by its position and posture in the pack. This wolf, Su Lin has already smelled the breath of a different species. Ah! The alpha wolf was howling through communication, signaling the wolves around him to continue moving forward slowly. The location of the palace is very large, and the wolves are rushing to the most central location of the palace. In the center, there are several huge iceberg lotuses, as well as exotic flowers and plants that cannot be named. With a thought, Su Lin glanced at the iceberg lotus among them, and found that they were all different flowers of more than 20 levels, and 2 of them had reached more than 40 levels. The iceberg lotus is spinning slowly, and every time it spins, it will exude a dangerous aura. And this breath seemed to be able to sense the intrusion of a strange breath, and a faint feeling swept towards Su Lin. Fortunately, the talent for concealment is very against the sky, and this feeling dissipated after wandering in Su Lin's direction for a while. What a powerful iceberg lotus, Su Lin couldn't help but said in his heart. Not only animals will evolve into different species, but other creatures will also mutate. Now wandering back to the center of the palace, to guard a statue of the ice-withered god, it is a bunch of mutated plants. These plants not only contain extremely surging pure energy, but are also extremely dangerous. As for the ice statue, Su Lin looked vaguely like the ice Dianin in Western legends. In his previous life, he was fond of adventure, and he had taught himself a lot of complicated languages in various countries, and naturally he had also read a lot of unofficial stories. Among them is an introduction to the gods of the West, and an introduction to the ice Dianin. The image characteristics of Dianin described in it are similar to this ice-withered statue. However, he didn't pay too much attention to it. Instead, he was very interested in the study of the Soviet Union under the temple. I don't know what the Soviet Union is studying here. But just when he was about to move, the head wolf of Kenai Mountain Wolf had already arrived at the center of the temple. With the howling of the wolf leader, the whole wolf pack began to worship the ice-withered idol very sincerely. Crouching on the ground, holding the head with its forelegs, the wolf's tail did not dare to shake but was tightly clamped. This means that the wolves not only have loyalty to this ice-withered statue, but also have fear. Because generally this is a gesture only for the wolf king. Su Lin's golden brown eyes looked more and more curious about everything in this ice palace. Next, when these Kenai Mountain wolves worshipped, Su Lin also quietly walked over. Walked very lightly along the way. But the wolf claws were still on the ground of the ice hall, making a slight rustling sound. This caused the two huge iceberg lotuses to suddenly emit dazzling light, and a tyrannical aura rushed towards them. Fortunately, Su Lin stopped immediately, and the aura of the two huge iceberg lotuses circled here again, before slowly restraining themselves back. This made him more cautious. Although my body shape and breath have completely disappeared, the senses of animals and plants are extremely powerful, and I can feel even the slightest sound. Surin is now very close to the experimental places of the bottles and cans of the Soviet Union. He adjusted all his eyesight to these instruments and experiments. It was found that there are also many human beings who have been frozen into ice, and some people still maintain the movements during the experiment, which shows that this is definitely caused by a sudden cold snap. There are even a lot of broken man-made materials and building materials below. It should be that humans have built a suitable short-lived experimental base here. But it was instantly frozen into ice slag, and even a human being was frozen to pieces, and some were permanently frozen in the ice. As for what is being tested, Su Lin couldn't see it. After all, it was too old, and many instruments were covered with a thick layer of cold and frost. But through the various organs and tissues in the bottles and jars, Su Lin deduced that some experiments that were not accepted by the world were probably being carried out. Because according to the news, the Soviet Union once conducted experiments on orangutans, trying to cultivate a group of powerful fighters with the physique of beasts, and even made considerable progress. As for what is here, it should also be some appalling experiments. And just when Su Lin started to speculate, the two huge iceberg lotuses in front of him may have sensed the loyalty of the wolf clan. When the iceberg lotus spun, the pure energy emitted completely landed on the bodies of these wolves. Then more than 20 wolves were growing at an astonishing speed. In just 10 seconds, all of them were upgraded to level 1. Hiss. Seeing this scene, Su Lin understood a little bit. Sure enough, there is a reason why these Kenai mountain wolves are so powerful. Relying on the afterglow energy of the iceberg lotus in this way, it is no wonder that it is not strong if it continues to grow day after day. Moreover, this Bingshan lotus definitely has a lot of wisdom and consciousness, and she can already train her subordinates. The 3 iceberg lotuses and polar ice worms I encountered at the bottom of the iceberg crevice last time should also be the same reason. It's just that the difficulty of cultivating a batch of polar ice worms is not the same as cultivating a batch of Kenai mountain wolves. Because the so-called gods and demons, he has always believed that they are spiritual beliefs fabricated by humans. If it doesn't exist at all, how can it be revived? After suppressing this thought, Su Lin also looked in the direction where the howling of wolves came from just now. After turning his gaze, he saw a pack of more than 20 wolves. It's just that this pack of wolves isn't Arctic wolves at all. Even on the contrary, this branch of the wolf clan, in Su Lin's impression, should have been extinct due to human hunting and killing in the last century, because this group of wolves are the famous Kenai mountain wolves. It is also the only undisputed wolf family with the largest size. Even the size of these Kenai mountain wolves is much larger than the recognized size. With a thought in Su Lin's mind, the numerical attributes of this group of wolves appeared before his eyes. Species, Kenai mountain wolf. Level 10. Vitality, 1257. Stamina, 139. Strength, 116. Defense, 93. Speed, 95. After seeing the attributes of this group of wolves, Su Lin couldn't help but sigh with emotion at the tyrannical strength of the Kenai mountain wolves. The ordinary wolf clan alone has the strength of level 10. Not to mention hunting, even in a one-on-one fight, they are not inferior to weaker large herbivores. The origin of these Kenai mountain wolves also made Su Lin very curious. Even if the Kenai mountain wolf wasn't extinct, it shouldn't be in the Arctic. Unless the Soviet Union collected the genes of the Kenai mountain wolf, what do you want to research here? It just failed in the end, but the gene of the Kenai mountain wolf miraculously survived, and over time multiplied into a pack of wolves. Then what exactly did the Soviet Union want to study here? Su Lin was very curious. Although these ordinary Kenai mountain wolves are strong, they are far from opponents to Su Lin. But the two huge iceberg lotuses in the ice-withered statue in the palace gave him a very dangerous aura. Therefore, he did not act rashly. I plan to wait until these Kenai mountain wolves reach a safe place before doing anything. At the same time, Su Lin also felt that everything here was beyond his imagination. The dangerous atmosphere was rampant, and he didn't plan to stay here for a long time. Waiting for when, after gaining the strength of that big squid, come here to find out. At that time, even if there is any ice monster, it will be enough to tear it alive on the spot. In today's changing world, only strength is the most important thing. With this thought in mind, Su Lin continued to suppress the heat in his eyes. Just like a best assassin, waiting for a suitable one-hit kill opportunity. And the wolves got up one after another after the howl of thanks. The first wolf continued to go through the passage on the left with the iceberg lotus in its mouth, and continued to go deeper into the iceberg. This huge iceberg is more than 10,000 meters long, and this place has just reached the ice level, and it is far from the bottom. Watching the wolves continue to penetrate, Su Lin's eyes also revealed a ruthless light. Anyway, he might not be able to pick these exotic flowers and plants in this palace. Because of those two huge iceberg lotuses, as long as you do it yourself, the end will definitely not be any better. There is only the iceberg lotus at the wolf-head wolf on Mount Kenai. Su Lin followed up lightly again, and Bing Shanlian noticed the movement around her. But the dangerous energy searched again, and after finding nothing, they all retreated. Su Lin followed the Kenai mountain wolf to the left passage. After entering, it only felt darker and colder. Walking all the way, I found that there are still many human corpses inside. Even Su Lin saw several discs recording directions, but the internal mechanism of the discs had been damaged by freezing. Even if Su Lin patted off all the frost on these discs with his claws, he still couldn't see the direction clearly. As for the two compasses in the sealed toolbox, although these compasses were not damaged by the frost, they obviously lost their function. Because there is no north direction at the pole, no matter how much you fiddle with the compass, the needle will stay still. But Su Lin still swept the compass with his paw, and it was caught in the hair on the wolf's paw. The compass is only the size of a walnut and fits easily on the fur of a wolf's paw. After all, Su Lin's body is too big now, and the wolf's claws are also very huge, and the hair for the wolf's claws to shrink is also very thick. Received the compass, Su Lin continued to move towards the Kenai mountain wolves ahead. After a while, he walked through the long corridor and came to another huge iceberg cave. The caves here are real caves, not palaces anymore. There are groups of icicles and broken ice everywhere. Just arrived here. Su Lin's keen sense of smell also smelled the extremely strong smell of bears and lynxes. Roar! Roar! Sure enough, without a moment, the ferocious howls of the lynx and the bear clan resounded suddenly in this icy and snowy cave. It's just that the roar is not like the roar of shopping, but like the sound of hunting. At the same time, Su Lin also noticed that after the group of Kenai mountain wolves heard the howls of the bears and lynxes, their pale blue wolf eyes burst out with anxiety. Then he rushed into the cave with a long roar, and ran towards the direction of the sound. There was no hesitation or fear in the action. It can be seen that this group of Kenai mountain wolves are already very familiar with these bears and lynxes. Su Lin also followed quickly. He really wanted to see what was in this cave that was worth the anxiety of the Kenai mountain wolves. You know, the Kenai mountain wolf pack does not seem to have a large number of wolves. But if it is placed in the area where Su Lin is located, it will definitely become a well-deserved overlord. Not even that large wolf pack can match. Because the individual strength of the Kenai mountain wolf is too strong, after day the pure energy of the iceberg lotus is nourished, except for the head wolf, the strength of the rest of the wolf clan has also been greatly improved. Thinking about it, if Su Lin came back a year or two later, these Kenai mountain wolves would all break through the species limit and become heterogeneous. A pack of more than 20 wolves of different species? They are also the most powerful Kenai mountain wolves among the wolf clan. Just thinking about it is enough to imagine how powerful such a pack of wolves is. If Su Lin really had such a valiant pack of wolves under his command, it would be able to overwhelm the entire North Pole. Ah! 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 At this time, the Kenai mountain wolves were howling wildly, rushing towards the direction of the roar of the bears and lynxes. The howling of wolves was empty and loud, echoing under this huge cave. The caves in this iceberg are very large, at least Su Lin can't see the edge at a glance. Even Su Lin felt that this could not be called an iceberg, but a glacier was more appropriate. Soon, after running for 3 or 4 kilometers, several tall, demon-like polar bears stained with blood finally appeared in front of them. These polar bears are also much larger than the outside world. There is even a monstrous flame emanating from a polar bear, which is stronger than the alien grizzly bear Su Lin encountered. In addition, there were 5 snow-white lynxes bearing their sharp fangs, confronting the Kenai mountain wolves who had just charged. These 5 lynxes exude a ferocity and murderousness all over their bodies. Lynxes are the best hunters, no matter where they are. Lynx may be at the genetic level of the species, inferior to polar bears and Kenai mountain wolves. But obviously, the blood on the fangs and the murderousness emanating from the whole body are showing that none of the 5 of them are good stubble. It's just that these lynxes stepped on their feet, the prey that had been disemboweled. However, the expression in Su Lin's eyes was a little surprised. Most of the energy overflowed by the iceberg lotus was absorbed by the head wolf, but even so, the strength of the rest of the wolf clan also improved a lot. After the afterglow energy of the iceberg lotus was absorbed, the entire wolf pack also howled to express their surprise and loyalty. Then, a white fluorescent light flew out from the wolf's mouth. It was a piece of ice wither. Attracted by the pure energy of the iceberg lotus, the fragments of ice wither flew directly to the statue of ice wither behind them. Bang! A crisp impact sounded, and the fragment fit perfectly on the broken corner of the ice-withered god statue. It's just that there are still many broken parts of the ice wither statue, and a piece of ice wither did not restore her to the original state. But after the ice-withered fragments fit together, a very strange melody came out. This melody is very refreshing, like a spring breeze. Even Su Lin couldn't help feeling close and wanting to surrender when he heard the melody, but in the end he suppressed this feeling with his willpower, and many Kenai mountain wolves howled lowly when they heard the melody. The howling sound was repeatedly conveying some intermittent meanings. Destroy, ice monsters, find, fragments, race, mission. After howling for a long time, the melody disappeared. A lotus flower of an iceberg lotus with only more than 20 levels also fell off from its rhizome, turning into a lotus flower with no consciousness and only pure energy, and it was slowly sent to the front of the wolf-head wolf on Mount Kenai. Looking at this iceberg lotus, Su Lin's eyes were fiery. The pure energy contained in this iceberg lotus far exceeds the 3 plants at the bottom of the iceberg gap. Even though eating this same creature would reduce its evolutionary value, this iceberg lotus can still bring it a lot of evolutionary value. Werewolves. Or it is called a person with wolf fur. It was at this time that he understood why the Kenai mountain wolf, which had been extinct in the last century, appeared here. Su Lin was a human being in his previous life, and he also loved exploring, so he had naturally heard many shocking things. But when the real everything unfolds in front of my eyes, I still can't help but be shocked by it. Genetic modification. No matter when, the major forces will not give up research on this aspect. This was even more so in the Cold War era, when a war of destruction could break out at any time. Thinking about it, he must have wanted to research a group of beast warriors with the powerful blood of the Kenai mountain wolf, but in the end the research base here was hit by a devastating cold current. As a result, all the achievements were buried in this majestic glacier. With a thought in Su Lin's mind, these werewolf attributes that became the blood food of the lynx and bear clan appeared in front of his eyes. Species, werewolf. Level 4. Vitality, 389. Stamina, 33. Strength, 35. Defense, 12. Speed, 27. The attributes of these werewolves are very weak, worse than the average human race. It can be seen that the transformation that may have relied on some extraordinary power here still failed. The height of these werewolves is not big, and they have not inherited the powerful blood of the Kenai mountain wolf at all. Most of them are only 1.56 meters tall, with white wolf fur on their bodies, and pointed ears. But the features on his face have not changed. Except for the wolf fur, there is not even a single piece of cloth on his body. The skin on his face is very fair, which is an unhealthy paleness caused by the cold all year round. The limbs are also like wolves, with 2 or 3 centimeters of sharp claws, but they can also curl up and stretch freely. Especially the beastly gaze revealed in those pale blue eyes and the miserable howls of wolves, bringing out very obvious characteristics of the wolf tribe. It's just that these werewolves are too weak and can only be reduced to eating blood. And the Kenai mountain wolf pack is so anxious, it seems that these werewolves should be a very important part of the pack. Su Lin was still waiting quietly, and did not act rashly just because the werewolf appeared. He has been reborn as a wolf, and the sympathy he had for his fellow humans in his previous life has long since vanished. Now what Su Lin has to do is to climb to the top of the world by stepping on the bones of thousands of different species. At present, this iceberg cave has become a huge fighting field. After the Kenai mountain wolves rushed over, the head wolf handed the iceberg lotus to the second wolf in the pack. Without the slightest hesitation, he led the pack of wolves to attack the bears and lynxes. And Su Lin, who saw this scene, had a bright light in his eyes. Ah! 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 As the wolves swarmed up, the Kenai mountain wolves' wolf pack tactics were very skillful. The three-dimensional hunt immediately suppressed the ferocious lynx and bear clan. The 5 lynxes are all heterogeneous, but the level is not high, and the tallest lynx only has the 12th level heterogeneous attribute. But even so, the murderous and ferocious lynx is not at all timid when facing the hunting of wolves. On the other hand, the other 3 polar bears, facing the siege of the first wolf and several second wolves, are at a disadvantage frequently. If it was placed outside, someone would dare to surround and bite several polar bears when they saw several wolves, but here it really happened. The strength of the Kenai mountain wolf nourished by the energy of the iceberg lotus is terrifying. Ah! While the wolves roared, the head wolf and the opposite polar bear were engaged in a fierce shopping battle. Pung! The wolf claws slapped the head of the 6-meter-tall polar bear, leaving deep bloodstains. Even above the wolf's claws, there is an icy air similar to that of the iceberg lotus. This icy air invaded the body of the alien polar bear along the wound, making it feel the extreme pain. Roar! The polar bear howled. Pung! With a slap in the face, the wolf dodged past. The power of this bear's paw is astonishing, creating a 3-foot ice pit on the ground. This polar bear has a level 21 attribute, and its strength is unparalleled, but under the harassing and entanglement of the Kenai mountain wolf, he couldn't exert the power he should have. The roar of polar bears and wolves echoed throughout the huge iceberg cave. Relatively speaking, the Kenai mountain wolf only besieged the 5 lynxes, but did not go shopping. But with these 3 polar bears, it is a real fight to the death. Both sides fully showed their fangs and sharp claws, and blood was also splashed in the fight. King to king. Will be right. As the main restraint, the wolf head-to-head was engaged in a fight with this alien polar bear. The sharp wolf claws and fangs left wounds on the huge body of the polar bear. In particular, the icy aura emanating from the wolf's paws is even more lethal. But amidst the howling, the alien polar bear quickly activated its talent. Blood rage. This made the heterogeneous polar bear's already huge body size much larger again, and its strength and defense increased a lot. As a pair of bear paws waved, ice and snow flew, and icicles broke. Among the Kenai mountain wolves, only the alpha wolf is a heterogeneous species. But after Su Lin adjusted the attributes of this wolf, he found that the talent of the Kenai mountain wolf turned out to be a group healing talent. Therefore, faced with the attack power of this alien species of polar bear after going crazy, they were immediately defeated. Among the other ordinary Kenai mountain wolves, one was slapped the back by a heterogeneous polar bear. With a thick bear paw of 40 to 50 centimeters, it only took one palm to beat a Kenai mountain wolf to a state of serious injury and dying. the battlefield is instantly reversed. This is the tyrannical combat power bonus brought about by talent, and it is also the reason why aliens can stand at the top of the food chain. Roar. After the heterogeneous polar bear seriously injured a Kenai mountain wolf, it brought out a tyrannical arrogance and attacked the remaining Kenai mountain wolves. For a while, the pack of Kenai mountain wolves separated to avoid the attack of the alien polar bear. But after this alien species of polar bear dispersed the wolves hunting, it continued to go towards those werewolves who were searching for something in the cave. Katza. After catching up with a werewolf, the alien polar bear directly bit off the werewolf's head and swallowed it into its stomach amidst the werewolf's terrified howls. After eating, regardless of the blood spurting on the body, the claws on the bear's paw hooked the werewolf corpse tightly and began to shake. After finding that nothing was dropped, he pounced on the other werewolves again. In just 1 minute, this alien polar bear killed a dozen werewolves in a row. When the heterogeneous polar bear was about to pounce on a female werewolf, the eyes of the head wolf and several second wolves of the Kenai mountain wolf burst out with angry flames. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.